They're signs of a child who adapted too soon, too deeply, and too alone. They're the echoes of a childhood spent trying to stay steady in a world where they were the only stabilizing force. Love is never simple for an only child, not because they don't want it, but because the blueprint they grew up with makes intimacy feel both deeply comforting and quietly dangerous. When you grow up without siblings, your first experiences of emotional closeness are vertical, not horizontal. Parents and adults are your primary attachment figures. So you learn early to adapt, to behave, to meet expectations. Love becomes something you earn, not something that simply exists. That childhood conditioning ripples into adulthood in 3 common ways. 1. The anxious giver. They fear being too much. They overfunction in relationships, anticipating needs, softening conflicts, apologizing first, even when they're hurt. Underneath is the old belief: if I don't perform perfectly, love might disappear. 2. The avoidant lone wolf. They're deeply self-reliant, comfortable in solitude, and slow to let anyone close. Partnership feels vulnerable, even intrusive, because needing someone feels foreign, almost unsafe. They've survived everything alone. Depending on a partner feels like losing control. 3. The push and pull heart. A mix of both. Craving closeness, but fearing the weight of expectations. Wanting connection, yet panicking when someone gets too close. This ambivalence is often rooted in being the sole emotional anchor for their parents. In love, only children often carry a quiet fear. What if I disappoint them the way I once feared disappointing my parents? What if I'm not enough? Or worse, what if I'm too much? But beneath all those patterns is a truth rarely acknowledged. Only children love with an intensity shaped by years of longing for a peer, a partner, a witness. When they finally let you in, they don't just give affection. They give a lifetime of stored-up tenderness, loyalty, and depth. Loving an only child means being invited into a world they've built alone and trusted to finally share. There is a moment in every only child's adulthood when the abstract suddenly becomes real. A parent gets sick, a doctor calls, a decision has to be made. And in that moment, the truth hits with a force nothing prepares you for. There is no we. There is only I. For people with siblings, these moments are shared. Someone divides the paperwork. Someone covers the hospital shift. Someone else takes the financial lead. The emotional weight gets distributed, even if unevenly. But for an only child, every role becomes theirs. The advocate, the caretaker, the decision maker, the financial planner, the emotional anchor, all at once. It's a kind of pressure few people talk about because it's so deeply personal, so quietly overwhelming. You're not just managing logistics. You're holding the 2 people who once held you. You're navigating the decline of the very figures who defined your world. The decisions feel impossibly heavy. Should I approve this surgery? Can they stay at home? Is it time for hospice? Every choice feels like both love and betrayal. Every outcome feels like your responsibility alone. And the financial burden in countries like the US only amplifies this weight. Nursing homes, medical bills, long-term care. There is no sibling to split the cost, the errands, the grief. Then comes the emotional aftermath. When a parent dies in a family with siblings, memories are shared, stories are retold, grief is held in community. But for an only child, the silence after loss is profound. There's no one left who remembers the same dinners, the same vacations, the same versions of your parents. You become the sole archivist of your entire family history. And when you go, it all goes with you. This is the burden no one sees. the future weight that shapes an only child long before it arrives. The story of an only child has never been about deficiency. It has always been about adaptation. Quiet, intelligent, resilient adaptation. And when you strip away the stereotypes, a different picture emerges. Only children aren't selfish. They're hyper-responsible, shaped by carrying roles meant for many. They aren't spoiled. They're self-reliant because they learned early that their first safety net was themselves. They aren't antisocial. They're selective and loyal, choosing depth over noise. And they aren't maladjusted. They're resilient, sculpted by solitude and sharpened by expectation. But strength alone isn't the destination. Healing is. Healing begins when an only child learns they don't have to earn love through perfection. That asking for help isn't weakness. That sharing their inner world won't collapse it. That the people who care about them want to be part of their life, not just impressed by it. And healing grows when they build chosen family, create shared memories, and let someone else become a witness to their story. Because even a life built alone is not meant to be lived alone. If this story helped you feel understood, or if it reminded you of someone you love, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments. And if you want more deep, cinematic explorations of the human heart like this, subscribe and stay with me. We explore the quiet parts of the human heart here, Psychics.